How did you come to be an atheist, and what does being an atheist mean to you?
I think we probably all start out as atheists because born with a belief in a deity or subscribing to a religion. So I just stayed an atheist, and other people became whatever religion they attached themselves to. But I was sent to school as a child, sent to church as a child, and the stories just sounded absurd to me. So when I was about 11, I started begging my parents to not make me go. And then when I was 13, they relented and I didn't have to go anymore.
Are you an agnostic atheist or a Gnostic atheist?
Yes, I might need clarification on that, but as far as some kind of cosmological God that maybe set everything in motion, I'm an agnostic atheist because I don't know if something like that happened. But I think the evidence is really clear that there isn't a personal
How
God.
do atheists have a sense of community with each other? Like Christians will go to church like every week as their sense of community and fellowship with each other?
Usually, atheists don't have a sense of community, and I never did for a really long time. And the old joke goes that getting atheists together is like herding cats. So this meetup group started in 2007. So I started meeting other atheists there, and it's slowly been growing as a group. It started out, we only had maybe 5 or 6 people show up to the meetings for the first 2 years at least. And in about 2002, I started going to the Skeptic Society lectures and meetings at Caltech. And probably at least 98% of the audience there is agnostic or atheist. So I felt like I fit in there better. And then there's also the Center for Inquiry in Hollywood, and they have their own meetings, and they also have Atheists United meetings there. So, and I just found out about that place maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So that's another place where atheists can get together and have a community. But a lot of atheists just by nature go their own way. So in the States, it's hard to have a feeling of community for an atheist. We've been talking a lot about the separation of church and state and religion and politics, and whether or not you can plant a seed of doubt or reason in the mind of a believer.
Do you typically want to do that?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would be beneficial for people in this country to be enlightened.
Okay. How does being an atheist affect your daily life, such as at work or at home or even just out shopping?
Well, at work it would be dangerous. I try to avoid talking about it. I don't think it would be politically a good move for my job. I don't think it would be good for people to know. And out in the daily world, it's usually an outsider.
So you just, like, you're an atheist, but you don't show it to others?
Well, I can more in my personal life, but work I wouldn't.
How does it look in your personal life then?
How does it look? Can
Like,
you give me a more specific?
because, like, you don't tell people at your work, so I'm just thinking the people who do know you're an atheist, like, friends-wise, like, does it change anything? Or?
with the friendship.
Yeah.
Well, there's always a divide, and it maybe isn't the best idea to bring up the subject with friends, but I would love it if they would want to engage in that kind of conversation.
Do you think there is a purpose to life, and if so, what is it?
I don't know if there's a purpose to it.
Do you ever wonder if there's like a purpose to
Sure.
life?
Yeah, I wonder all those deep thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. Do you believe there is a reason for why evil exists?
Well, if I believed in God, I'd have to believe that He created evil. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's just sort of some kind of like chess game or something He wanted to entertain Himself with. Because if God created everything, He must have created evil. But for myself, I would have a hard time defining what's the difference between bad behavior and mental illness and evil. But I admit that some people do seem just outright evil. How they came to be that way, if it's just a genetic, they were born that way, I don't know.
What do you think about Christians?
I think that they have a limited view of history, and if they kind of thought about the fact that they're probably Christian because they were born in a Christian country, because if they were born, say, in Indonesia or Zimbabwe or somewhere like that, they probably wouldn't be a Christian. So I think maybe they don't think deeply enough or get the big picture, or realize that in history there have been lots of gods that were born of a god and a virgin who had supernatural powers, who died and came back to life. And at least one of them was Mithras, was born on December 25th. And all of those myths came before Jesus Christ. So I think if Christians realize that the story is not unique, it's just been borrowed from cultures before it, they'd be less likely to believe it.
What is one thing you would like to let Christians know about atheists?
Usually, for the majority, are ethical and moral, and probably less hypocritical and more moral and ethical than religious people. Because if they're good, they're just good for goodness sake, and virtuous for the sake of virtue. And they reject the capricious, irrational actions of the God in the Bible, who doesn't seem to me to be a moral being. And we can have values and ethics without believing in a supernatural being.
How do you know what's right and what's wrong?
I think it's an innate knowledge. I think you don't want to be done to you, you don't do to other people. And I think pretty much everybody just knows that by knowing it. Because that's such a common motto for all cultures.
Okay, there's one I thought of. I asked you it when I emailed you questions. It was the philosophical statement about, and it said something like, believe in those who are searching the truth and doubt those who say they find it. Like,
Yeah.
what causes you to think that way? Like, do you not think you can find out what there truly is, like, out there? Like,
Well, so far no one has, but Christians and other types of religious believers think that they do know the answers, but it would be common knowledge and it would be on the front page of the newspaper if it was a done deal, if it was a fact. So, but scientists and free thinkers, they keep looking for the answers. So if they found them, they would share them.
Well, like lots of people say they found them. They just say they found them in different ways, and some people, there contradicts with other people's, like, Big Bang Theory. Like, what do you think about evolution or the Big Bang Theory?
Well, I think it's probably right on, and I think those people that studied that and came up with those theories put in years and years of work into it and have high IQs. And when you talk to people who don't believe in that, they usually haven't arrived at that belief by studying the subject. They just, because it's in their Bible or their church tells them that,